Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Evolve Flow Express. So, we're excited. This is the finale episode for the season. So, I'm very excited to welcome you all with us. Today, I have Andrea. She is a costume designer and she also does a lot of other designs as well with sewing and everything like that. I will give her a space of time to introduce herself and give a little bit more information.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So basically, I am a costume and fashion designer as well as a tailor. I have been doing this for about, let's say, 8 years in totality at this point.
Okay.
And I really love it. It's my passion. I originally wanted to be a lawyer, went to school for that, got my degree in political science, and then jumped into the fashion world on faith, following what I felt like was the voice of God. And I realized that it was an absolute passion that I don't know what I would be doing without. So
Okay, I love it. And guys, she made the jacket she has on, okay? The blazer that she has on is fire. Anyhow, so today we're going to be talking about designing your life. We're going to be talking about faith, fashion, and just being a creative, and honestly, just kind of designing your own life within that aspect. So, how do you feel about being a creative and also incorporating your faith, like in terms of sticking through to what you feel like is your purpose?
Well, I feel like because I shifted gears, I would say not necessarily later at life, but kind of like in the middle of already knowing what I wanted to do. I basically was starting this journey on faith.
Okay.
And without really having an idea of where I was going to be going in this industry or directly like what I was going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's rooted in it. It's like extremely important. And that's kind of how I try to like move in my business and in my passion. Is just being like, okay, God, how do you want me to live in this? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to like show the world and etc. But because it also is a passion, I feel like it's not hard to just be authentic with my creativity because I am still learning who I am and like what I'm trying to say at the same time.
Okay, I love that. I love that. How do you feel about like any times when you are feeling more fear than faith? Like how did you kind of manage those times?
Cry. Oh, cry. Sometimes literally that's what it is. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I haven't gone through seasons where I look up and I'm like, God, what? Like you quit my job. I quit my job for this. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
No clients this way. What do you mean? All I can do is eat dinner and that's it. Like I want to go do things. So I mean, there are seasons where it becomes challenging, and I do feel like giving up, and I'm like sitting here looking in the mirror like, did I make the right decision? But I don't sit in that too long because I know that so many successful things have come from just being obedient, and it's still so much inside of me. I had to really evaluate like, okay, did you do this just because you thought that God was going to make it great, or did you do this because this is something you love to do? And doing anything in life comes with ups and downs.
Yeah.
So I try to focus on, in that season, I try to really just sit back and say, okay, yes, it's responsible to also have a side gig that can give you money when things are slow, but what else can I do? So I use those times to really just dive into my creativity, educate myself on the topic more, just work on myself and figure out what it is that I really want in my life and in the situation that I'm in, and just try to keep going. But yeah, I've been in those moments a lot more than I like to admit, and it's not easy, but I do end up pushing through it because I just remind myself that where I am in that moment is not a reflection of my value and my worth, and it doesn't change the fact that I've been called to do this, or nor does it change the talent that is, that I have with this. So I have to just push through that moment, as hard as it may be. It's no cookie cutter answer, to be honest. Like it really is just riding the wave and acknowledging that it's okay to feel the way I feel. It's a raw and authentic emotion to have. But there are things that I can do, and even in that season, I still have like clients, and there still are wins. So just trying to focus on the small wins versus the overall picture.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I feel like that's something that I talked about in like my previous episodes about like just kind of not necessarily just being optimistic, like you're not being realistic about things, but just kind of more so taking the positive out of it and rather than focusing on the negative. So I agree with that. How would you probably describe like being obedient while you're doing your craft and different things like that, and not like veering off?
Really just being intentional. Like I try to figure out like, why am I doing this? Like what story am I trying to tell with this for example, if I'm creating a line, like I'm like, okay, where's this coming from?
Yeah,
Is this
okay.
an authentic feeling? Am I trying to tell a story? Am I trying to teach a moment? Am I just trying to show my elevation of my skills? So I don't like to do things just for the sake of being like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I do have like certain guidelines within what I will and won't design for anybody else or for myself. And so I think that helps me, I guess, stay obedient, because I'm not putting a pressure on myself to try to do trendy things for approval. It's like I just want to, yes, you can have fun and do trends, but also does this even reflect who I am as a person? Like what I personally believe or what I feel like God called me to do with my gift. I don't want to be disrespectful with my gift just for the sake of a check or the sake of followers or none of that, because it could be so much easier. I think a lot of people, we go through that where we have conversations about it. So with my other friends, it's like, dang, I feel like I could be rich if I just did dumb stuff. Like if I just did like the dumb things that, you know, no offense to whatever other people do, but it's like you don't want to just be a copy and paste of what's working or what's just out there floating in the world. You want to be intentional. At least I do anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. No, I feel that because I feel like I'm slightly that way with my podcast. Like there's certain things that I want to talk about, and I've learned through trial and error, of course, like I have to kind of guide the conversation with some people because some people have their own agenda of what they want to talk about, what they want to express. So to kind of stay with what my message is to people overall, I have to kind of still structure it the same way like you structure, okay, this is what I won't do. This is the bounds that I won't step outside of.
Yeah.
So I really, really agree with that. In terms of just, I would say, maybe being intentional with your life, how do you feel like you kind of shaped and structured your life overall, not just the creative side, but overall?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
All day. I think when I got serious about who I wanted to be as a woman, like going into my 30s, I really reflected because I grew up, you know, in a traumatic experience, like childhood. So it was a lot of stuff that I had to unlearn.
Yeah.
Finding out who I am, what was I doing that was like generational things. What do I want to break? Who do I want to become? So once I like started to get closer to my 30s, I was like, who do I want to be as a woman? Like, how do I want to show up in this world for myself or want other people to think of me? Like if I'm no longer here, like what are the things I want to leave behind?
Yeah.
And so just sitting down in that and like reflecting in that, that started to shape like how I became intentional about what I wanted to believe, what I wanted to do in my life. And just how I wanted to show up in general, relationships, what friends I wanted to have around me, what people I wanted in my life in general, what business opportunities I wanted, you know, how I want to speak, like all that stuff. I had to become very intentional with that.
Okay.
Started with asking my friends, like it was really my friends, closest people in my life. Who do you say that how would you describe me as a person? Like what are the greatest things that you love about me, and what are some areas I can work on? Because a lot of times we might think that we are one way, but other people that are closest to us may have a different opinion. And being humble enough and respectful enough to like accept those things and make those changes.
Yeah.
And also therapy. I utilize therapy. I recommend it. Absolutely.
Therapy.
Got to do that. Especially for me, just all the things that I've endured in my life. I felt like it was important to learn how to release that off of me so that I could just show up as a good person and a healed person for anybody that I want in my life, because I want quality people around me. So that means I have to be a quality person.
Yeah. You are what you attract, for sure. I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like overall, I probably haven't exactly had the same experience of you. I feel like you're a little bit further along in your journey than I am, but you know, everybody's path is different. Yeah. So it's not to say that I'm
got plenty to work on. Don't worry.
I'm not saying like you're like just so much greater, but just, you know, in the sense of I feel like you have a lot more experience with certain things, because we've had plenty of conversations about, you know, just different things, faith, you know, constantly having to deal with different ups and downs and situations. And I'm not necessarily in the mode of just being an entrepreneur just yet. Like I still have my daytime job that I do. So it's like this is almost like a hobby becoming like a real life, like this is my intentional, like this is what I want to do. Yeah. But also I've talked about like I don't even really like talking to people. I don't even really like talking to people, but I felt like I had to do this. Like I constantly felt like I had to do this, and I got pushback from different people, but I just kind of continue on because I felt like that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in terms of the message, even as well as structuring it with people and honestly choosing who could be on the show and who could not, because I've made a lot of connections. And yeah, I don't know, it's been tough because I've made connections with people and I thought that they were going to be on the show, but then over time it didn't really align best with what I am wanting to offer, per se. It's not to say that they're a bad person, but they're not really aligned with what my message is. And that's just them as a person in general. So I feel like I would like for you to come on my show authentically. I don't want you to come and be like, let me put on a show for you real quick because I'm like, no, I really just want you to come authentically as yourself, like you came today, fashionista. And I prefer that because I'm a genuine person. I like to be genuine and make sure that people know me and for who I am, per se. Of course, just like you said, you never know how you might show up to that person, but at the same time, I prefer to show up as best as I know myself. So I agree with all of that, to be honest.
And to piggyback off of what you were saying about, I think a lot of times God may use people around us to give us the to help us push through an idea. It's like, this is a person that you're going to brainstorm through this with. You might in your mind be like, oh, we're going to do this together, or I'm going to do this and you're going to be my first guest or whatever. So you are super excited. You go through this whole process of planning it. And then when it happens, that person's not there. You like, dang.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what's used to give us that battery in our back to do what God wanted us to do anyway, which is be intentional about it, plan it, and get it structured. And then when it's there, it's like, all right, now this is what I actually want you to do with it.
Yeah.
I know you planned all this because you thought it was going to go this way, but actually I want you to go this way with it. And you have so many more blessings, I think, with that. And the people that's supposed to come on the show will be a reflection of where you're going and not what you thought, it was going to be. So, like you said, intention and quality people too. Sitting in the seat.
Because I feel like, honestly, I've had so many suggestions of, oh, you should have this type of person on the show to get more views, to get all of that. But initially, when I first started, I didn't want that. Like, I don't know, and that might just be me, but I don't want to. It's not for the purpose of like trying to be famous,
right? Yeah.
In that sense, like if it does blow up, I'm thankful for that. If it doesn't, and I still get to share my message, I still get to share what I feel like I'm called to actually share to people and give people, a vibe or experience or whatever of inspire them and I guess in a sense, inspire them.
Yeah.
At least I got to do that. That's I'm thankful for that because that's really my purpose. Like, is to inspire people, get people going, because I feel like even in my journey of starting this podcast, even completing this season, like,
so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm like super proud of myself for finishing, because I've had plenty of projects that I did not complete, and I think I've said that to you before. Like, I've had projects and stuff that I constantly would like, oh, I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, or, I'm going to da-da-da-da, and I haven't completed it. And me completing even this season has started to kind of spill over into other aspects of my life. Like, I want to complete these different things. I want to da-da-da-da. So I feel like that's a part of me also designing my life in a sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of structuring my life based on my 1-2 moves of doing different things to kind of discipline myself. So I agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all funny enough, it's the thing that you were most reluctant to do.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
I'm telling you, because even before I started having a conversation with people, it was like, let's see, I think I actually started having the thought at the beginning of the year, but I didn't really talk to nobody about it. Like, it was just an idea. Like, I just think that I feel like I should be out there talking to people, but I don't really like talking to people. I'm an extrovert when I get around certain things and when I'm like out and open sometimes, but I don't want to really sit there and have to like have a full conversation and keep it going. Like, probably after 5 minutes, I'm good. Like, I want to walk away.
All right, battery on 0.
Right. I'm like, oh, and we're done.
Hang it up.
So, I feel like, no, you're good. I feel like, honestly, it's calling me to be more outspoken, more open. And my mom was always encouraging me to be like that. Like, you need to be da-da-da-da. You can dance. You can do this. You can sing. You can, all these different things. And I'm like, I don't want to, though. Because of the attention that it comes along with. But I think that also stems from the way that we might have been raised, just in particular into, just anybody else who might be going through the same thing. You could be raised in the sense of like you shouldn't really get attention unless you've done something so great, or even if you have done something so great, you might not get that attention at home from your parents or anything like that, so you don't expect that you should even receive it. So I think that that's where mine stemmed from a little bit.
Yeah.
No offense to my parents, but
Look, we already talked about that.
Right, I'm like, we just talked about that. Yeah. But yeah, everybody has to learn, and I feel like through me doing this now, the amount of appreciation and support I get from my parents now is like opposite from like growing up for different things. Like me wanting to sing, I really wanted to sing. I wanted to take singing classes and everything, and I could sing, but it was like I didn't have like a true distinctive voice, in my opinion. It was just like, okay, I can sing, but I've heard my parents, say, oh, this person can sing, I like their voice, and I'm like, me, what about me? Yeah. So I don't know, just stemming from that, but now getting the support and stuff from them is like the little girl in me is like, oh,
it's being fed.
Finally.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother topic, but that is exactly why it's so important to heal and like really understand how what we experienced in our youth affects us as an adults. Yeah. Like every day we walking around handling problems certain ways because of how we didn't get or did get treated as kids.
Yeah. I feel like this, even if it might be definitely another topic than what we're, kind of initially speaking on, but either way, that's what this entire season is. And even the next seasons following through, it's going to be still on the journey of healing, because I feel like that is a big thing that people think that it's like a one-time, like, I'm at my peak, and it's like, no, you got a couple of peaks. You're going to have a couple. Right. You're going to be forever going up that mountain, baby. So, I feel like it's still a good thing to mention that, you've kind of come to a point where, okay, I realize like this part of me is being healed through this action from somebody else, Yep. So I feel like that is a good thing to even mention for people who might be experiencing the same thing, might be feeling like they left out or whatever.
And that's why I mentioned therapy. It was like that's really the key to helping you figure out who you are, what you want to be referenced as, and then with being creative, like that's so healing too. Being able to express whatever you're going through or have come through your art. And
in terms of kind of building your life and with God, I would definitely say, how do you feel like, and I think you kind of pointed this out a little bit before, but how do you feel like God has like aligned certain people in your life? Like, probably I would say, like, could you give an experience like of when you felt like, oh, this person is like supposed to be here, like I can't avoid them?
Let's see, I'm trying to think about a specific person, but I can't say just over like throughout my journey where I have been like, I need X amount of these people doing these specific things, and so I pray on it, like being very intentional about who I need, or what role I need them to fill, and even down to certain like characteristic traits. Of course, I want them to be believers. I want them to believe in me, and be able to help me get where I'm called to go. So I would literally just, prime example, thank you. Okay. Prime example, I was preparing a live cooking show event. Okay. And it was for my nonprofit organization. And me and my friend went to this rooftop event and was just hanging out, and we were on our way out, and the guy, I was like, I need a chef for this event. Like, I need somebody that's going to cook the food. Walking towards the elevator, and the guy was taking the trash out. I don't even know how the conversation started. Next thing I know, I'm just like, do you work here? He was like, yeah, I'm the chef here. I said, are you freaking kidding me? Oh my goodness. I'm looking at my friend like, no way. So we just start talking, and I'm like, okay, well, actually, I'm looking for a chef for my nonprofit event. I do, like, would you be willing to collab or even work with me at a discounted rate because it is for a nonprofit? I'm just raising money. He was like, Absolutely, I would love to. I would like just really welcome into it, because anybody else could have been like, "No, my rate is what it is," you know. But he was very open to working with me, and we ended up scheduling like a cooking sample of his food. Amazing. Okay, shout out. I don't really give shout outs often, but I do for him because he was so great. I do want to shout out Chef Vic, Slick Vic. He is amazing because he really came through for me at a time in my life where I was being obedient with this nonprofit and didn't know how I was going to get any resources to make this happen. And he jumped on board and was just so, it just made the event.
Yeah.
So that's a time for sure where I would say God was like, I got you. Don't worry about it. You said what you need. I'm going to make sure you have it. Literally taking out the trash. I'm leaving. And we linked up. And so many other people that has happened to me too. Just maybe not in that instance, but even just talking about, oh, I need somebody that, you know, knows how to pattern, like they can help me learn how to pattern. And I go to a networking event and I'm connected with this lady who became my pattern teacher, who referred me to another guy who became my mentor in learning how to tailor men's clothing, and then met another lady, you know. So it's just things like that where you're in the right space and people are leading you to who you need in your life in order to gain those resources. And so I always say pray about it, be extremely intentional, because, and I'm talking back to myself again, because that kind of left me, I will be honest. Like I forgot after so many no's, and like we spoke about the time in my life where I'm like, just cry, you know, like I was just sitting there crying like, oh Lord, why, you know, why now, why me, you know, that whole thing that you have in that season. But I'm just being reminded to myself, pray. Like remember when you first got in this thing and you were praying and asking me what you needed and what you needed. That's where I know for me I need to get back into that. And also that's my advice, you know, about when I've had people come through my life that I know was God led and was very intentional.
I agree with that. That's really good. I feel like definitely the prayer part. I mean, you talking to me too, girl, because I prayed really, really hard when I first got into my faith and, you know, with Christianity and everything and talking to God. I prayed really, really hard. And then I kind of got answers and stuff like instantly. And now I've kind of like fell out of that and I'm getting back into it. But I feel like another thing is that it's a lot of times when we are going through like a hard, tough time, that's when we like want to turn back to it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you got to remind yourself like, no, you can still do it without, you know what I'm saying, it being a hard time or a negative period in your experience per se. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. With people even coming into your life with certain things, like I prayed on so many different things. Definitely how I pray every time we go to church. Like I pray to hear exactly what I need to hear, and I hear exactly what I need to hear every single time. I'm like, okay, you're talking to me. Okay, cool. But yeah, I feel like it's pretty interesting. I guess my experience with coming into Christianity, because I didn't really know who to turn to, what to think of, and then I guess for you, or not even for you, but for me, you were somebody that was like, oh wow, okay, this actually turned out to be a really good connection, because I didn't even know that you were really Christian. I didn't until we like really became closer. And I was like, okay, I can ask her what church she goes to and I can find a church that fits best for me. And I think that was something that was supposed to happen in my sense, in my opinion. You know, I feel like that was like, okay, that's a clear sign. Like, okay, cool.
Because I remember when we first was like talking deeper, like after I was working with you, was like, do you become friends with all your clients?
Yeah,
I was like,
I remember that.
Absolutely not. But at the same time, like if it's organic, I'm not going to be like, oh no, she's a client or he's a client. We can't be friends. I feel like when somebody's put in your life and it's an organic experience, like you meet some of the people that's going to be with you forever through, you know, all kind of situations. So yeah, I'm like, I don't be that type of person that's just like, no, we can't be friends. Now I'm not gonna be out here befriending everybody that I work with.
Yeah,
but like. Yeah,
I remember that exact day too.
Organic is the best way.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. I feel like also there was like, I would guess, let's see, when was that? Last Saturday, when I went to the art show that I told you about. I was honestly thinking like, man, I really need some guests for like my next season. I don't know who to put on there. I already had one guest that I knew, which is my friend. She's a DJ, but I want women because it's going to be mainly about women's experience of becoming who they are in this day. Not to single men out or anything like that, but, you know, it's going to be mainly on that topic. So I need women to be on there. And I met so many female artists that was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm meeting different people. And my brother was like, I knew you were in there networking. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of have to. Like, it kind of came natural because I was just talking to them about their art, and then I was like, oh, I have a podcast as well. Like I might, reach out to you, and it was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And the more I heard, oh, really, like they was like excited to connect. It was like, you know what? This isn't really so hard talking to people. Let me just get the people that I need because I literally was thinking like I need people on my podcast. So I agree with that intentional, like, prayer and just honestly, even with your thoughts though, because I think it was on episode 6. I was saying like, well, me and my guest, Brittany, we were talking about journaling and even just talking out loud. Like you got to be careful with your words because otherwise you'd be kind of praying on things that you don't want to happen. So, oh well, I guess even talking about that, like, do you feel like you've had a time where you asked? I know that you had told me.
Girl, I'm scared to repeat it.
Like I know you told me you prayed for the Job experience.
Girl, I prayed for the Job faith, the worst prayer I could have made ever. I was like, why is my life crumbling? Wait, what is going on?
I was like,
my God.
Oh no, I know about the Job story. I haven't even read it. I know about it.
That was not wise to do, but I don't regret it because I did feel like the faith that I gained after everything that I had to go through. Like, I'm grateful for that faith because I've never had faith like this before. There was a time in my life where my bank account was looking funny. I was like, oh, absolutely not. I'm hyperventilating. I'm on the floor. Like, it just is not happening.
Yeah.
I'm not functioning. I'm not laughing. It would be so bad that I would laugh and I would be like, what you laughing for? You broke. I was that rough on myself, girl. I was that rough on myself. Wow. Like, I couldn't even laugh. And not have myself together. No, I was so serious.
You were your own bully.
Yes, absolutely. But I was very much like how you said certain attention is gained by accomplishment. So I learned at a young age, like doing well, it gets you, like praise or whatever the case may be. So I just became my own like critic of how I got to do this and whatnot. So just even going through like certain places where you're at a certain level of comfort and then I'm not, I'm like being very cruel to myself. I'm like, nah, you can't be doing that. But now after going through what I prayed for as far as give me, I don't even want to repeat that too many times. Give me the faith, strong faith. And I like look at how I handle life like challenges now, and it feels like a completely different person. I'll be like, dang girl, okay, I see you. Like you have definitely grown because I could look at a problem and instead of focusing on that negative, being like, you know what, God, thank you that I have food in the refrigerator. Thank you I have a bed to lay in. Thank you that I have a roof over my head because I'm not trying to give no energy to the things that are not working. I'd rather give energy to the things that are working. Yeah. And when I have negative thoughts, I've learned to like replace those negative thoughts with 2 to 3 positive thoughts. and like feed, if I'm gonna feed anything, I'd rather feed the positive thought that could also be a possibility, not the thing that just pops in your head to try to deceive you or make you feel like you shouldn't be trying to do something. So, but that's some growth because there was a time that would not have even been the intrusive thoughts 100.
Yeah,
everything else is just trying.
I feel that trial and error. Yeah, you gotta learn as you grow. It's growth pains pretty much, and I feel like that's in all aspects: spiritual, physical, mental. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna have some pains through growth, and it's not to say that you gotta always be suffering in order to learn something, but there's usually gonna be some type of discomfort.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's gonna be something. So I feel that. I wouldn't pray for your faith originally, but I feel like I've had some tough times, some really hard times where I've had to I prayed for patience, and I'm still being taken through the ringer on a lot of things. And it's like, wow, really, you give me a lot of situations here where I gotta really.
How much patience you prayed for?
I don't even know. That's why I'm like, man, I need to think back on that prayer and maybe revert a little bit. But
it's too late.
It is. It's already in there.
It's already in motion.
Already in there. So I've been really learning like just patience through all types of situations, all types of people. Like, I mean, people I cannot stand, like, oh, you irritate me. But then I'm like, you got to give people grace, and you also got to be patient. You got to move with love. I got to remind myself of all these different things, and it keeps me in a better state, like peacefully, stress-wise, me being able to handle things, like how you said, like you now you look at different things like differently, like a problem, per se. You wouldn't even look at it like, oh, this is something that's just detrimental, it's terrible. You're looking at it in a more positive aspect. So for me, I wouldn't say that has changed. I've always been kind of optimistic about things, and sometimes it's to a fault, for real. To be honest, I'll be like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine," and people just be like, "No, it's
Are you
not.
in the same room?
Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, my bad. I was trying to be positive," but that's just me mentally. But I feel like personally, like just focusing on more positive than negative has helped me throughout my journey. But yeah, that's just been really something that I had to learn. I'm still learning the patience, definitely. I'm still being put through the ringer. But yeah, did you have any advice that you would like to give the audience in terms of designing their own life, sticking to their faith, or anything like that in terms of life aspects?
Yeah, well, I'll say that anybody that's interested in, like, I'll start with the designing your own life bit because I do feel like that's a reflection of what you decide to do when you take it further to be creative. Just being really honest with yourself about where you are, like areas of improvement, mental, like how harsh you are or positive you are to yourself, like learning to be kind to yourself and giving yourself grace that this is a journey. I knew I used to hate when people be like, it's a marathon, not a race. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a mess. Whatever it is, it's a mess. But it's so true though. It's like you can't fix every problem at one time. So truly just focus on the areas of your life that you do have control over and start little by little, and then sit down and reflect with yourself about what it is that you want to say in this world. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up personally and like in your passion and in your purpose? And then once you kind of get a better understanding with that, and you may not have it all figured out because I surely didn't. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go, but I allowed myself to just sit in it with God and like say, you know what? I might move in a way that you don't want me to move because I just don't know, but I want to move with what I feel is in my heart. And if I'm going in the wrong direction, just direct me while I walk, because we don't always have the answers. And so that's what I would say.
Okay, I appreciate that. I love that message. I feel like that would definitely help some people within their journey, and just overall, like just experience of life. People have different paths.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I appreciate you for coming
Well,
today,
thank you for having
and I
me. I'm
enjoyed the
honored.
conversation. Okay, so finale. But yes, I really appreciate you for coming today and being my guest. I definitely am going to put your platform information, everything like that below the episode, so everybody can reach out to her for any crafts or anything like that that you would like to connect with her on. She's very good creative, obviously, with this blazer. But yes, I really appreciate it. And that concludes our episode. This is our season finale, so stay tuned for the next season. It will be called Becoming Her, and I'm excited to share with you guys. Bye.